Do you know the impact that a healthy gut has on your life? Not only does it aid in your overall physical well-being, but it has a direct connection with your mental health as well. Now, before you click away on this video thinking it sounds like a boring topic, let me tell you that no matter if you are in good health or you struggle with health issues, this topic is something that we can all benefit from, and I think you should stick around. So in this video, I'm first going to talk about one of my passion subjects, which is the gut microbiome. It's truly fascinating and it has a huge impact on our lives. And it's one of the key reasons that some people seem to be healthy all the time and not struggle with anything, and others of us tend to have more health issues. I'll also share a little bit about my health journey and why this topic has become of interest to me. And secondly, I'll talk about some of my favorite foods that help build up the gut microbiome that I eat daily. And then I'll also be sharing some recipes with you how to make yogurt and kefir. And I won't just be strictly talking about those two foods. There's a host of other foods we can eat. And lastly, I'm going to be sharing even more of these amazing food, telling you where you can buy them online today. And yeah, so let's get into it. So first off, what exactly does it mean, the gut microbiome? What is it? So your gut microbiome are made up of trillions of microorganisms that live in your intestinal tract. These microorganisms, which are mainly bacteria, contribute to your overall well-being in life. And it helps mostly with the digestion and absorption of your food. There are so many benefits to having good gut bugs. It sounds so odd, gut bugs, but we'll call them gut bugs, good gut bacteria. So these healthy gut bugs, they can help regulate your metabolism, they can help regulate weight gain, and they contribute to improved clarity of mind. So have you ever heard of the term that your gut is your second brain? There's been different studies done that are basically saying that they believe that having an unhealthy gut microbiome can actually contribute to things like anxiety and depression. I'm going to quickly read an excerpt I found on the web. It says, evidence has mounted from studies that the gut microbiome can influence neural development, brain chemistry, and a wide range of behavioral phenomena, including emotional behavior, pain perception, and how the stress system responds. And if I'm remembering correctly, just from different books I've read, having a healthy gut microbiome can really help with things like ADHD, different behavioral problems like I talked before. And it's just super fascinating topic. I definitely would recommend you study into it. And this goes two ways. So they were saying like an imbalanced or a bad gut microbiome can affect your moods, anxiety, depression, that type of thing. But you know how it is when we are under stress and our stomach starts feeling queasy, we get butterflies, we are under stress. They say stress is a killer. It's a killer to our health. Stress can actually alter your gut microbiome and in a bad way, and the bad can overrun the good. And it's one of the reasons those of us that suffer with IBD, like myself, they say avoid stress at all costs, and it is probably one of the biggest triggers to a bad flare-up for us. I know it is for me. So as many of you that follow my channel here know, I have a disease called ulcerative colitis. I was diagnosed about 4 years ago. One day I was perfectly healthy, and the next day I was staring at this life-altering disease where my life would never be the same again. And so that's why I say if you're a healthy person, listen to this a little bit, because if you can do things to prevent disease, because it happens to all of us, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we never know. Things can happen in the blink of an eye. I know for myself, when I was healthy, I wasn't nearly as interested in this type of thing because I didn't understand what it meant to be sick. I didn't understand the incredible blessing of health, because you take it so for granted. There's actually a saying that goes that health is a crown that the healthy wear, but only the sick can see. It is so true. When I am like really sick and I look around at all the people that have perfect health and they don't even realize the crowning gem that they have perched on their head, but I can so clearly see it and crave it. So it is just my word of advice. If you are in good health, cling to it, maintain it the best as you can, and maybe what I'm sharing in this video can help you out. All right, so back to my disease. I have ulcerative colitis, which comes and goes in flares, and it's really hard to manage. It's basically the inflammation of your large intestines. The inside of your large intestine is lined with bloody ulcers, and you have tons of debilitating symptoms that just pretty much, leave you stuck at home. So throughout me being diagnosed with this, trying to understand it, trying to understand how to manage it, I was trying, meds weren't really working well for me, and I really wanted to learn how to manage it the best as I could without meds. I still sometimes need to use meds, but right now I'm also medicine free. Through my research, I found out about the gut microbiome, and ulcerative colitis is actually a disease that's not well researched up until this point. People don't understand it super well, but there has been a lot more recent studies done where they believe that the gut microbiome is directly connected to it. They believe that there's actually a certain strain of bacteria that's missing for us UC patients, and they're trying to figure that all out and how it's connected to our overall health. But one thing through my studies and my personal experience is I firmly believe that when I can keep my gut microbiome in a healthy balance and eat really rich probiotic foods, that I definitely feel better. I see improvement in my symptoms. It's one of the main ways that I try to manage my UC. So the question is, how do you feed and maintain the good bacteria that's in your gut and not let the bad bacteria overrun? Well, one of the things obviously is not to eat processed foods, sugary foods. Those are the types of foods that the bad bacteria feeds on and can start overrunning the good bacteria and wearing it down. And the other thing is to eat food. Some people take supplements like probiotics, or you can include a lot of probiotic rich foods, which is a lot of foods like fermented vegetables, things like sauerkraut. You can ferment carrots, you can ferment pickles. You can also do things like yogurt and kefir. I'm going to talk more about that later. Let me just give you an illustration. The difference between taking probiotics as a supplement, like in pill form, versus actually eating and getting your probiotics through a whole superfood. So according to Dr. Joseph Mercola, I think that's how you say his name, he says that 2 ounces of sauerkraut has more probiotics than an entire bottle of 100 capsules of probiotics. So an entire bottle is meant to last you 1 month, correct? By you eating just 2 ounces of sauerkraut, say with a meal, you are getting over a month's supply of sauerkraut. So if you have a bad imbalance in your gut, can you imagine which would get you quicker to where you need to be by eating your whole superfoods, your living foods, as I like to call them, versus like just taking a pill and trying to manage it that way. So some of my favorite probiotic rich foods would be 24-hour yogurt, which I'm going to touch on later why I have the 24-hour yogurt in there. I'm also going to be sharing a recipe how to make it super easy, takes no time at all. Also, kefir is a good one. Yogurt is definitely better if you have a sensitive gut, because when I'm in a really bad flare, I can't handle things like sauerkraut and kefir because I react to almost everything I eat and I have to go to something more gentle. And 24-hour yogurt is definitely that, and I'll explain that later as well. Yogurt, kefir, and sauerkraut are probably the 3 that I eat of the most. One thing I love about sauerkraut, it's low calorie and it really pairs nicely with a lot of the meals you eat. Not only is it just chock full of good probiotics, it also is rich in enzymes, so it helps digest your food. So if you eat it with your meals, you'll probably feel a lot less bloated and have indigestion issues because the enzymes in the sauerkraut help to make you feel better after you eat because it's helping you digest the food. So that is definitely one of my favorites. You can make it yourself at home, or I'll also show you where you can buy really tasty fermented sauerkraut, but that's coming at the end of the video. All right, so let's just talk about 24-hour yogurt a little bit, and then I'll be taking you into the kitchen and showing you how to make that as well as kefir. Why 24 hours? So standard yogurt is usually cultured around 3 to 6 hours. This is not nearly enough time for like the lactose in the yogurt to be eaten away by the bacteria or the bacteria strains or the cultures, whatever you want to call it. And so when you are left with the standard yogurt you'd buy at the store, it's pretty high in lactose still. However, if you take yogurt and you culture it for an entire 24 hours at a low heat, like a consistent 100 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and the live strains will actually be feeding on the lactose in the milk. And over the course of 24 hours, it takes away most of that lactose, so you're left with a yogurt that's very low in lactose. And it's been proven that a lot of people that are lactose intolerant can actually handle 24-hour yogurt. It's soothing, and when I'm in a really bad flare, it's one of the only things I can handle. And it's a superfood, a living food that's helping me build up my gut microbiome and not causing severe reactions. Now, some people that are completely intolerant to dairy can try something like goat milk. I know some people have already done like coconut milk. Forget what all they've tried. I've never done anything down that line because I've had great results with cow milk. I try desperately to remember every day to eat foods high in probiotics, and I often do yogurt mixed with bovine colostrum. Bovine colostrum is full of vitamins and minerals and antibodies, which helps build up our immune system and helps aid in fighting off infection. And it's also really healthy for our gut health. It has prebiotics in it, which helps feed that good bacteria. And then it also helps in building like the mucosal lining of like if you have IBD, you have like a damaged gut lining, and colostrum is one of the things that helps rebuild that. So it's been like one of the staples in my life when I'm suffering with ulcerative colitis and when I'm in and out of flares. It's really what I feel is one of the keys to help me maintain my health without meds. I'm trying desperately to stay away from medication. So what I normally do is I order it in this big 2-pound container. I really like this company, Innovate. It's natural, it's organic, no antibiotics. It's hormone free, it's raw, a super whole food. I talk more about it in the other video, so if you want to learn more about colostrum, go check it out. I won't bore you here. But I will say this, the amount of stories that I have gotten personally from people, their testimonies on the improvements in their health and different people struggling with different health complications. Often the things that we struggle with are in connection with our gut health. You know, we just react to bad gut health and different diseases. That's my personal opinion, and there's studies to back it up. Obviously not all diseases, but a good healthy gut often prevents many of these things. So I have gotten a lot of personal testimonies, different people that have had just various improvements in their health. And it's so exciting and invigorating. And even like children, if you give it to your children for immune support, people have reported like their children not getting the flus at school that are going around, or if they do get it, it's just a minor version of the flu because the colostrum really helps boost their immune system. So yeah, if you want to check out that video, go check it out. I'll have links below. All right, so I've babbled on long enough and I've just kind of touched the surface. I feel like there's so much more to talk about when it comes to your gut microbiome and the foods that you can eat. Basically, my takeaway would simply be this, is if you're a healthy person, don't take your health for granted. Try to take the necessary steps to maintain your health and prevent future disease, because trust me, one day you could be perfectly healthy and the next day you're visiting the doctor wondering what in the world is wrong with you. And you might be like me where you're facing the rest of your life with a chronic illness. All right, so I'm gonna take you guys into the kitchen, quickly show you how to make yogurt and kefir, and then I want to show you some of my other favorite foods, and I have a host of them. So to the kitchen we go. You only need 3 things to make yogurt, and honestly it takes no time at all. First thing I highly recommend is an Instant Pot. Some people use crock pots, can be a little bit harder to regulate the temperature. An Instant Pot, such as this one, has a yogurt setting right here, and you can set it to however long you want it to culture. And also, I believe the temperature is around 100, 110 degrees if I understand it correctly. And that's what you want your yogurt to culture at. You hit a button and you forget about it. It is that simple. And I personally recommend using raw milk. So when you pasteurize milk, it basically kills all the good things in the milk. Your enzymes, your probiotics. Milk does have probiotics, different strains of probiotics in it. We have noticed with Xander, when we have given him store-bought milk, he complains of having a bellyache, and we switched him over to raw, and he hasn't complained much at all since then. I also had talked to a gentleman that was from India, and he said since he moved to the States, they would get sick and get stomach aches from drinking the milk here because over there they didn't go through the whole pasteurization process. The reason being, milk has all the good things like the enzymes in it, good probiotics, but the enzymes in the milk help you digest the milk. And when that's taken out, then you start getting intolerance to dairy. And there's quite a few people, once again, that can't tolerate milk, but they can tolerate raw milk. I definitely recommend using raw milk. You can use store-bought because you're making yogurt, so it's not a big deal, but if you do use the raw milk, you're getting the different probiotic strains within the milk, and since we're not going to heat the milk up as most yogurt recipes would, we're not going to heat it above 100 degrees or 110. So all those strains are not going to get killed off. So raw milk, and I'm going to talk about them more later, but this is from Swiss Villa. You can buy it on the website. Sadly though, they can only ship it to you if you live in PA. Every state has a different law regarding milk, raw milk, and the selling of it. So if you live in PA, you can order this and have it shipped to you. However, if you're outside of Pennsylvania, just research it online, see if you can find any local dairies that sell it or what the laws are in that state. Sadly, some states are not permitted to sell raw milk. Maybe you should just buy yourself a cow. Anyway, all you gotta do is dump the gallon into the Instant Pot. Now, I recommend using whole milk. It makes for a creamier yogurt, much better than like non-fat milk. And I also recommend using whole milk, plain yogurt for your culture. We do 1 cup of yogurt to a gallon of milk. I have noticed that different yogurts tend to make your yogurt either sometimes more runny or more thick. It kind of all depends on the starter yogurt that you have. But tomorrow, once this has been culturing for 24 hours, I will show you how to turn it into a thicker Greek style yogurt, get rid of that whey, bring the carb count down if you're like on a low carb keto style diet. I have 1 cup of yogurt. All we need to do, dump that in there. You put the lid on. There's a vent back here. If you have an Instant Pot, you want to make sure it's not venting. And then there's a little yogurt button down here. And I have mine set to 24 hours and 30 minutes. The reason I do the 30 minutes is just because I think the 30 minutes gives it time for the milk to warm up because it's cold milk. And then the rest of the 24 hours is culturing. But yeah, you just let it sit on your counter, and then tomorrow I'll bring you back and show you the completedness. All right, it's a little over 24 hours later. The yogurt is finished. Let's see how it turned out. Now, it turned out really well. What I like to do as a final step is I like to turn it into more of a Greek yogurt, so it doesn't have as much of the whey and it's lower carb. I have this yogurt strainer. I really like it because it does a gallon at a time, which is super handy. I'll have links to it below in Amazon. So yeah, now the next step is to just simply dump the yogurt into here and let it strain until your desired thickness. If you let it in there too long, it can get almost too thick. So it's kind of whatever you prefer. And it's as easy as that. It takes like a minute to get it started in the Instant Pot, a minute to dump it over in this, and then once this is finished, just transfer it into containers and put it in the fridge. Right now it's starting to drip, and yeah, I'll just let it drip for a few hours. Just keep checking on it to see on the desired thickness. All right guys, I've been letting this sit for probably about half a day. You can see how much thicker it is. It's amazing. A lot of that whey dripped out the bottom. So out of 1 gallon of milk, I got about 2.5 quarts of Greek yogurt. And here is all the whey that dripped out. I probably had this dripping for half a day, something like that. So yeah. All right, now let's make some kefir. Kefir is a lot more potent and a lot stronger in probiotics than yogurt, and I definitely recommend starting off easy on it. This is a pretty bitter, tangy drink. Making kefir is super duper easy. The only thing is that's a little bit of a trouble or a bother at first is finding kefir grains. I'm lucky, I have a store right down the road that sells all this raw, natural stuff. However, I'm gonna search online. I think there's a private seller on Amazon that will ship live grains to you. I will have links to that below if I can find it. I've never used those myself, but I trust that they work. All right, a couple things to note about kefir grains, which I just forgot and used a spoon, hopefully I didn't ruin them, is to never let them touch against metal. You wanna use plastic or vinyl. So these are kefir grains. I just strained them out. I was letting them feed on a little bit of milk. It basically looks like little lumps of cottage cheese. I don't really know, I just kind of guess. You don't want to put too many in, but I would say like a healthy 2 tablespoons for a quart of kefir, and they will continue to grow and multiply over time. So the more batches you make, you might have to give kefir grains away to your friends. So if you put too many in, it's not going to work as well. But I do like my kefir thicker rather than thinner, so I tend to put a little bit more in. But all you need to do, a glass jar. Once I have my grains in the jar, all I need to do is fill the rest up with milk. Once again, I'm using raw milk. You don't want to put a tight seal lid onto your jar. It needs to breathe. So one of the things you can use, if you have it on hand, is a coffee filter. So what I like to do is to just put the coffee filter on top, and then I can go ahead and screw on the lid. There you have it, and all you need to do is set it kind of in a warm place, sort of a nice room temperature, and then you let it culture for another 24 hours. Tomorrow I'll come back and show you what to do from there. All right, it's the next day, a little over 24 hours later, and we're ready to see how the kefir turned out. Now, I have this feeling that this is not going to be one of my better batches, Yesterday it was pretty cold. It was crazy. It's a cold day at the end of June. So I'm not sure how well this turned out, but we'll give it a try. I'll have links below. Technically you're supposed to use, I think you can use cheesecloth, but there's like a strainer with like a vinyl strainer that's good to use for kefir. I personally don't own one right now, so I've been using a colander, which has a little bit too big of holes, but it's what I'm using now, so I'm just gonna strain it through this. I just take the jar and strain it out so that I keep the kefir grains separate, and then I'll use them for future batches again. That did not turn out. Okay, sadly that was a fail. It's really runny and I don't like it like that. It needs to be like a thicker, like between milk and yogurt consistency. I'm pretty sure it's because it was cold yesterday, but I also had used a metal spoon and I'm wondering if I ruined it somehow. We're gonna try another batch. I'm not sure if I'll get it in the video, but trust me, it usually works. It's that simple. You just dump it in. It just needs to be warmer when it's fermenting. So, all right guys, this is kind of how it looks now. This is how it's supposed to look on a real batch. It's thick at the top. It's kind of a yogurty consistency. When I pour it in, you'll see what I'm talking about. And now I just work it down through the holes. You can see the lumps of kefir right here. Once everything is through, these are the kefir grains that are left. I'll go ahead and... So kefir kind of has, it's runnier, but it's also a little bit, it has some thickness to it as well, and little lumps in it, so sometimes it can get thicker than this, sometimes not as thick. I told you guys I was gonna have a ton of food options for you. You can order online today, get shipped straight to your door. I'm super duper excited about this company called Swiss Villa. I had talked a little bit about this topic before on this channel and also my other channel, and a question that kept coming up was where can you get like raw milk, some of these products, and I hadn't known about this company until just recently. They reached out to me and I was super excited to try it out. They sent me a box of some of their foods. I told them I wanted to make a video on the benefits of probiotics and your gut microbiome, and guys, honestly, the quality of their products blew me away. So it's a Mennonite owned company. As an interesting side note, they want to offer healthy foods for a clean eating diet. They are focused on providing products that are chemical free, antibiotic free. You can get a lot of raw products, like I said before, like raw milks, raw cheeses. The cheeses you can get shipped to your door no matter where you are in the States, not the milks. But they have different raw products, grass-fed, soy-free, and so on. You can just go check out their website. They have everything, all their information on there. But let me just tell you a few of my favorites that they sent. Actually, I'll show you most of them, but I'll show you some of my favorites. First off, the milk. If you're in PA, you can get milk from them. And you can also get goat milk, sheep milk, and even camel milk I saw, which I found super interesting because I follow another YouTube family. This is a while back I saw it. I think their son was reacting to a lot of different milks, and they ended up buying a camel for their farm just so they could have camel milk because of the benefits of camel milk. I've never really studied into it, but they do sell camel milk, and I'm thinking that wasn't raw. I'm thinking that was pasteurized, but you might have to double check on that. They offered a variety of milks, also a variety of cheeses as well, your raw cheeses. Speaking of kefir, if you don't want to go through the bother of making your own, they sent me 2 of theirs, and I believe they also have goat kefir if you're allergic to dairy. So this one is whole milk kefir unflavored, and this one is vanilla flavored. One thing I noticed with their products that I was very happy to see is that they sweeten their things with honey. So it has a really nice, kind of a mild sweet taste for the vanilla kefir. Love it. It's super, super tasty. Their drinkable yogurts are sweetened with organic honey, and it's organic A2 pasteurized milk. By the way, I believe all their milks are A2 protein. Basically a protein found in certain cows that people can sometimes tolerate better than the A1 casein protein. Just look into it. But anyway, great benefits that they are using A2 milk. So this would be a good place to start. And as far as the difference between these two, if you're not really watching your sugar, I definitely recommend the vanilla. Tastes amazing. Absolutely amazing. I have never in my life heard of freeze-dried cheese. And the way I understand, they're one of the first companies to do this. When you freeze dry it, it actually doesn't take away any of the nutrients. And it's actually pretty amazing tasting. It almost has a taste between like a cracker and cheese, and it's something that you could take along with you because I don't think it needs to be refrigerated. Come in these little squares, and it's really, really tasty. I highly recommend you try it. My favorite was a smoked cheddar. It's already almost gone. We've been snacking on them. They also sent me kombucha. One is a turmeric ginger, which turmeric, by the way, is super good for inflammation. So very healthy drink. And then they also sent me an elderberry one. I've been sipping at them, trying not to drink too much before the video so that it didn't look half empty. So if you want kind of a zippy drink and you don't want like a soda because sodas are unhealthy, this has the zip and the zang of soda, so to speak, but it's healthy and helps build up a healthy gut. Microbiome. They also sell sauerkraut, and honestly, this is probably one of the best tasting fermented sauerkrauts I've had, and I'm not lying. So I bought fermented sauerkraut from the little store down the road, and sometimes they get it too salty, and it's just, you can almost hardly stand eating it. They definitely have the recipe nailed down with the right amount of salt, because I've already made mine at home, and you definitely want to make sure you do it right or it can be too salty and just completely throw off the taste, and yeah, not good at all. And yes, just eat small amounts, like a quarter cup with each meal, and just see how much better you feel. So once again, another living food full of good probiotics, as well as all this other stuff. So kimchi, they have kimchi here. So another thing that they sent me was gingered carrots. I enjoy this as well. It's definitely pretty gingery. So if you like ginger, this might be the way to go for you. They have relishes here. This one is turmeric zucchini relish, and honestly, I did not like this one much at all. I wanted to like it because I do like zucchini, but it had this kind of funny taste. But I did really like their cucumber pickle relish. Once again, this all basically does the same thing. It just ferments the vegetables in salt, and you can eat it with your meals. So you can order different ones of them to keep a variety in your diet, and then just put small amounts with each meal, and you're getting, like I said before, amazing benefits, probiotics to help build up your gut microbiome, keep it healthy, keep it happy, and help with your overall health. Seriously, highly recommend them. I was completely blown away by the quality of their ingredients. So my recommendations, if I were you making my first purchase, definitely get their kefir. It's really tasty if you're not watching sugar. Get the vanilla and sauerkraut. Definitely recommend trying some of this cheese. I really like the cucumber pickle relish as well. It pairs so nicely with a lot of foods. But then if you want an amazing drink, seriously, buy the kombucha. Amazing. So Swiss Villa is located in Lancaster area of Pennsylvania. They work with different local farmers there to source the products. They do their best to make sure it's high quality. And like I said before, a lot of their things are organic, grass-fed, and so on and so on and so on. So also, if you do order, they do require a $25 minimum order, and then you have a flat rate shipping of $14. So you want to make sure you stock up in one shipment, because you'll be paying $14.95 across the board no matter how much you get. So when I got the box, it was in a big insulated package with a bunch of ice blocks in between to make sure the food stays cool. So thanks to Swiss Villa for sending me all this, and I hope you all enjoy it. Kombucha, it's a little bit of sharp, freeze-dried cheddar cheese. It's almost like wine and cheese. Which is something I have gotten into, not the wine and the cheese part, but I love eating fruit and cheese. Nolan and I are big fans of grapes and cheese. Pairs together so nicely, as does these two. Amazing.